What's worse than buying a truck and having it break down on you? Today, we're counting down the absolute worst pickup trucks that consumers have overwhelmingly rejected. These aren't just disappointing vehicles. They're reliability nightmares that have cost owners thousands in repairs and countless hours of frustration. From underpowered engines and transmission failures to electrical nightmares and plummeting resale values, these trucks represent the bottom of the barrel according to Consumer Reports data and sales figures. Let's dive straight into our countdown of the 20 worst trucks that nobody wants to buy. Number 20, Subaru Baja, 2003 to 2006. Subaru thought they could convince truck buyers to embrace a car-based pickup, but the market disagreed. Hoping to sell 24,000 units annually, Subaru barely moved 30,000 Bajas over its entire 4-year production run. Why did it fail so spectacularly? The Baja couldn't decide what it wanted to be. Truck buyers found it too small and car-like, while Subaru's loyal car customers weren't impressed by its awkward styling and limited utility. The reliability wasn't terrible since it shared components with the Outback, but the 2.5-liter Boxer engine was notorious for external head gasket failures around the 80,000-mile mark. Owners often faced repair bills of $1,500 or more to fix coolant and oil leaks. The bed was barely usable, too small for most truck duties, and the mid-gate pass-through was a poor compromise. By 2006, sales had dropped to just 5,000 units before Subaru mercifully pulled the plug. Number 19, Chevrolet Silverado 1500 Hybrid, 2009 to 2013. General Motors' first attempt at a hybrid pickup was a disaster that almost nobody purchased. In its debut year, Chevy sold fewer than 250 units. Yes, you heard that right. Even at its peak, this eco-friendly truck barely cracked 1,500 annual sales, while regular Silverados sold over 300,000. The two-mode hybrid system, co-developed with BMW and Chrysler, added tremendous complexity without delivering meaningful benefits. City fuel economy improved by just 33% over the standard model, while highway economy remained virtually identical. Owners who did buy in faced a multitude of problems. The high-voltage battery pack under the rear seat would occasionally overheat, leading to a major recall. The electrical inverter module could fail without warning, leaving drivers stranded. Even the transmission couldn't decide if it wanted to operate in electric or gas mode, creating a shuddering, jerky driving experience. All this headache came with a $4,000 premium over the standard truck, reduced towing capacity, and uncertain long-term reliability. By 2013, GM quietly discontinued this experiment that consumers had already rejected. Number 18, Toyota Tundra, 2022. Toyota built its reputation on reliability, which makes the 2022 Tundra's problems all the more shocking. Consumer Reports ranked the redesigned Tundra dead last in reliability among full-size trucks, even withdrawing its recommended status. A rare move for a Toyota product. The problem started with the new twin-turbo 3.5-liter V6 engine. Owners reported check engine lights and power loss due to failing wastegate valves in the turbochargers. Toyota issued a major recall, but the damage to its reputation was already done. The new multi-link rear suspension also proved problematic when a recall revealed that rear axle nuts were loosening, risking complete axle shaft separation. The 14-inch touchscreen would freeze or suddenly reboot, often requiring drivers to restart their trucks entirely. Toyota sold about 104,000 Tundras in 2022, a modest increase over the previous generation's 81,000 units, but nowhere near the 653,000 F-Series trucks Ford moved that same year. When Toyota stumbles this badly on reliability, truck buyers notice and stay away. Number 17, Toyota T100, 1993 to 1998. Here's a rare case where reliability wasn't the issue, but almost nobody bought the truck anyway. The T100 was Toyota's first attempt at a full-size pickup, and it missed the mark by almost every measure. Despite Consumer Reports giving it above-average reliability ratings, the T100 peaked at just 40,000 annual sales, a fraction of what domestic trucks were selling. By its final year in 1998, Toyota moved a pitiful 6,000 units. What went wrong? The T100 was caught in no man's land, slightly smaller than true full-size trucks, with no V8 option, and initially no extended cab version. Early models suffered from head gasket failures in the 3.0-liter V6, which Toyota addressed with a recall. The truck was underpowered at 150 to 190 horsepower, too expensive for its capabilities, and couldn't match domestic trucks' towing capacity. Even Toyota's stellar reputation couldn't overcome such fundamental product mismatches. The T100 taught Toyota a hard lesson that would eventually lead to the more competitive Tundra. Number 16, Lincoln Blackwood, 2002. Want to see what a true sales disaster looks like? Lincoln projected 10,000 annual sales for its luxury pickup, but the Blackwood was such a flop that it was discontinued after just 1 year, with only 3,383 units ever produced. The Blackwood perfectly demonstrates what happens when designers prioritize luxury over actual truck functionality. Its carpeted bed had a power tonneau cover that sealed it like a trunk, making it completely useless for actual truck duties. The cover would frequently malfunction, and water intrusion was common. Lincoln only offered it in one configuration: black exterior, black interior, rear-wheel drive. No 4x4 option was available on a $52,000 truck in 2002, a deal-breaker for many luxury truck buyers. The complex suspension provided a smooth ride but wasn't built for heavy loads. Ford executives called the Blackwood the fastest flop we've ever seen. Many units sat on dealer lots unsold well into 2003, requiring massive discounts to move. The Blackwood remains the gold standard for trucks nobody buys. If you're enjoying this countdown, hit that subscribe button now. We're just getting to the really bad trucks. Number 15, Chevrolet SSR 2003 to 2006. The SSR wasn't just a truck, it was an identity crisis on wheels. Chevy created a convertible pickup with retro styling that satisfied neither truck nor sports car enthusiasts. In its best year, Chevy sold just 9,000 of these oddities. The retractable hardtop, the SSR's signature feature, was its biggest headache. Owners frequently reported roof mechanisms that failed, leaving tops stuck halfway open or misaligned. Few dealers knew how to repair them, resulting in expensive fixes. Early models came with an underpowered 5.3-liter V8 and a 4-speed automatic, making the heavy truck sluggish despite its sporty pretensions. Many experienced overheating when driven hard and differential whine that required dealer attention. The tiny bed was essentially useless, and the $42,000 starting price put it in Corvette territory without the performance to match. Chevrolet ended production after moving just 24,000 units over 4 years, far below projections. The SSR became a vehicle with no real audience, rejected by both truck and sports car buyers alike. Number 14, GMC Canyon. First generation 2004 to 2012. The first generation Canyon shared all its components with the Chevy Colorado, which means it also shared all the same problems. Consumer Reports rated early models much below average in reliability. GMC hoped to position the Canyon as a more premium midsize offering, but buyers weren't convinced. By 2012, GMC was moving a paltry 2,200 units annually, barely enough to justify keeping the lights on at the factory. The 3.5-liter 5-cylinder engine was a disaster waiting to happen. Many owners faced cylinder head failures, requiring expensive replacements. GM eventually extended warranties to cover the issue, but the damage to the Canyon's reputation was already done. Electrical gremlins plagued these trucks, with faulty gauge clusters, fuel sensors, and ignition switches common. Frequent recalls addressed issues like defective brake light switches and side impact airbag wiring problems. By the end, most GMC dealers didn't even bother stocking Canyons on their lots, and few buyers missed it when it temporarily disappeared after 2012. Number 13, Chevrolet Colorado, first generation 2004 to 2012. When a truck lands on Consumer Reports, used cars to avoid list, you know it's a problem. The first-gen Colorado started with a bang, 150,000 units sold in 2005, but ended with a whimper at fewer than 4,000 sold in 2012. The Colorado's reliability woes stem from its unusual inline engines, a 2.8-liter 4-cylinder and a 3.5-liter 5-cylinder. The 5-cylinder proved especially troublesome, with cylinder head defects causing misfires and loss of power. General Motors extended the warranty on these heads due to a tendency for valves to drop or seats to wear out prematurely. Electrical issues were rampant, instrument clusters often failed, and many owners had to replace faulty fuel level sensors or ignition switches. Even the AC blower resistor commonly failed, leaving owners sweating in summer. Several recalls plagued the Colorado, including one for brake lamp switches that would fail, meaning brake lights wouldn't activate, a serious safety issue. By 2012, the Colorado had developed such a poor reputation that almost nobody was buying it, forcing Chevy to temporarily exit the segment. Number 12, Dodge/Ram Dakota, third generation 2005 to 2011. The final generation Dakota demonstrates how quickly a once popular truck can fall from grace. In 2005, Dodge sold over 100,000 Dakotas, but by its final year in 2011, that number had plummeted to just 10,000 units. Consumer Reports rated the 2005 Dakota much worse than average for reliability, citing problems with the engine, suspension, and drive system. The standard 3.7-liter V6 was underpowered and prone to excessive valve and lifter noise, while the optional 4.7-liter V8 could suffer catastrophic valve seat failures. Front suspension issues were common. Owners frequently replaced ball joints, tie rod ends, and wheel bearings long before expected. The Dakota's HVAC system was notorious for blower motor failures, leaving owners either freezing or overheating. Dodge never significantly updated the truck during its run, meaning by 2010, it was essentially selling the same truck from 2005 in an increasingly competitive market. The Dakota grew almost as large as a full-size truck without offering the same capability or resale value, leading buyers to either choose a true full-size or the more refined competition. Number 11. Ford Explorer Sport Track, 2001 to 2005, 2007 to 2010. The Sport Track tried to capitalize on the Explorer SUV's popularity by adding a small pickup bed, but buyers eventually rejected this compromise. From 70,000 units sold in 2001, sales dropped to just 5,000 by 2010. The first generation earned abysmal reliability ratings from Consumer Reports, landing on their used cars to avoid list. The notorious Ford 5R55 transmission caused the most headaches, with many owners experiencing premature failure before 70,000 miles. The 4.0-liter SOHC V6 engine had a known timing chain tensioner defect that could lead to catastrophic engine damage if ignored. The telltale rattling on startup was a warning sign that many owners learned to fear. Interior quality was lacking. Door handles, window regulators, and other components broke with regularity. Even the second generation, which added independent rear suspension and a V8 option, couldn't overcome the Sport Track's reputation for mediocrity. The concept of a crew cab SUV truck hybrid was simply too niche, especially as crew cab midsize pickups became more refined. Ford finally put the Sport Track out of its misery after 2010, ending a truck that peaked early and quickly lost consumer interest. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you're enjoying our countdown. We're about to reveal the top 10 worst trucks that nobody wants to buy. Number 10. Hummer H3T, 2009 to 2010. With only 2 model years of production, the H3T barely had time to make an impression. Not that many people noticed. Only about 2,700 units sold in 2009 and fewer than 1,000 in 2010 before GM killed the entire Hummer brand. The H3T was based on the Hummer H3 SUV, which itself was built on the troubled Chevy Colorado platform we already discussed. It inherited all the same reliability problems, including the problematic 3.7-liter 5-cylinder engine that suffered from cylinder head issues. Owners reported overheating problems, especially when off-roading with the optional 5.3-liter V8. The cooling system was undersized for slow crawls in challenging terrain. Ironic for a vehicle marketed specifically for off-road use. The timing couldn't have been worse. Late 2008 amid a recession, with rising fuel prices and Hummer's image falling out of favor. The H3T's poor fuel economy and limited payload capacity sealed its fate as one of the worst-selling trucks in recent memory. A rare curiosity that most buyers never even knew existed. Number 9. Hummer H2 SUT, 2005 to 2009. If excessive weight, terrible fuel economy, and questionable reliability sound appealing, the H2 SUT was your truck. This 6,600-pound behemoth was essentially an H2 SUV with a small, compromised pickup bed. The H2 SUT's reliability was abysmal, with Consumer Reports consistently rating it far below average. The sheer complexity and weight taxed every component. Front differentials and half shafts frequently failed during off-road use, a major problem for a truck marketed primarily for its off-road capability. Brakes and rotors were undersized for the truck's massive weight, leading to frequent replacements and warped rotors. The early models with the 6.0-liter V8 and 4-speed automatic strained under load, with transmission rebuilds common before 100,000 miles. Fuel economy was a dismal 10 miles per gallon, straining both wallets and the fuel system itself. Some owners reported fuel pump failures earlier than expected. Initially popular as a status symbol, with around 33,000 H2s sold in 2004, that number had collapsed to fewer than 1,500 by 2009 as production ceased. The H2 SUT exemplifies how quickly consumer taste can turn against an impractical vehicle once the novelty wears off. Number 8. Isuzu I-Series, 2006 to 2008. If If you've never heard of the Isuzu I-Series, you're not alone. In its best year, Isuzu sold just 4,137 of these rebadged Chevy Colorados, a fraction of what the already struggling Colorado managed. The I-Series inherited all the Colorado's reliability problems, including the infamous cylinder head failures on the inline-5 engine. Valve seats would wear out prematurely, causing misfires and requiring expensive repairs. Other issues included hard-shifting automatic transmissions, failing HVAC blower resistors, and a rash of check engine lights for emissions control leaks. Build quality was subpar, with interior trim and weather seals often feeling cheap and flimsy. Isuzu's declining brand presence and shrinking dealer network doomed the I-Series from the start. By 2008, sales had fallen to just 2,998, and in 2009, only 227 were sold before Isuzu withdrew from the passenger vehicle market entirely. The I-Series represents a futile attempt to keep a dying brand alive through badge engineering. Number 7. Cadillac Escalade EXT, 2002 to 2013. Cadillac's luxury pickup enjoyed initial success but declined into irrelevance over its 12-year run. From selling over 14,000 units in 2003, sales dropped to fewer than 2,000 by 2013 before Cadillac pulled the plug. Despite its premium positioning, the EXT consistently scored poor reliability ratings from Consumer Reports. Air suspension failures were rampant. The rear auto-leveling shocks and compressor often failed, leading to expensive repairs that many owners delayed. The first generation, 2002 to 2006, used a 6.0-liter V8 and transmission that was borderline adequate for the Escalade's weight. Transmission failures before 100,000 miles were not uncommon. The second generation got a more powerful 6.2-liter engine, but introduced cylinder deactivation issues, with some engines suffering collapsed lifters, leading to misfires or camshaft damage. The complex electronics were a constant headache. Navigation systems glitched, power running boards failed, and door handles broke. As gas prices spiked and the recession hit in 2008, EXT sales collapsed. The market for a luxury pickup with limited utility and high maintenance costs proved extremely limited. Number 6. Lincoln Mark LT, 2006 to 2008. After the Blackwood disaster, Lincoln tried again with the Mark LT and failed again. Sales peaked at 12,753 in 2006 before plummeting to 4,631 by 2008, forcing Lincoln to discontinue it after just 3 model years in the U.S. Reliability was below average initially, mirroring the 2004 to 2006 F-150's well-known issues. The 5.4-liter Triton V8 was notorious for problems, including a loud ticking noise from the cam phasers and spark plugs that would seize and break off in the heads during removal, making a simple maintenance task a costly nightmare. Owners also reported problems with the 4x4 system not engaging properly due to vacuum solenoid or actuator failures. Power window failures and HVAC blower resistors burning out were common complaints as well. Ultimately, buyers realized the Mark LT was just a gilded F-150 without meaningful advantages. Ford replaced it with the F-150 Platinum trim, which offered the same luxury features without the Lincoln badge's identity crisis. Interestingly, the Mark LT lived on in Mexico through 2014, where it found a more receptive audience. Number 5. Suzuki Equator, 2009 to 2012. The Equator exemplifies what happens when a dying brand tries to stay relevant through badge engineering. Suzuki projected 5,000 plus annual sales, but averaged only about 2,000 a year. In total, just 5,808 Equators were ever sold in the U.S. As a rebadged Nissan Frontier, the Equator inherited all its mechanical issues. Early models could suffer the radiator transmission cross-contamination problem that plagued Frontiers, where coolant would leak into the transmission fluid, often requiring a new transmission. Other issues included timing chain, whine from worn tensioners on the 4.0-liter V6, and fuel gauge sender failures. After Suzuki exited the U.S. market in 2012, Equator owners struggled with parts availability and service support. Buyers had zero incentive to choose the Equator over the identical Frontier, which had Nissan's larger dealer network. The Equator is now one of the rarest modern trucks on American roads, not because it's valuable, but because almost no one bought one in the first place. Number 4. Mitsubishi Raider, 2006 to 2009. The Raider was Mitsubishi's ill ill-fated return to the pickup market, and it failed spectacularly. Fewer than 10,000 sold in its best year, with sales plunging to just 1,946 in 2009. By 2010, only 9 Raiders were sold. Yes, single digits, as dealers cleared the last of their inventory. As a rebadged Dodge Dakota, the Raider inherited all its reliability issues without any Mitsubishi-specific improvements. Common problems included front suspension ball joints wearing out prematurely, weak blower motors for air conditioning, and occasional transmission failures in V8 models. Manual transmission 2006 Raiders were recalled for a faulty clutch interlock switch that could allow the truck to start in gear without the clutch depressed, a dangerous defect requiring dealer repair. The combination of zero brand recognition in trucks, lackluster performance, and Mitsubishi's shrinking dealer network meant almost nobody bought the Raider. It stands as one of the quickest exits in the pickup segment, lasting just 4 model years before disappearing without a trace. Number 3. Jeep Gladiator, 2020 to 2021. The Gladiator should have been a home run, combining Jeep's off-road credibility with pickup utility. Instead, early models landed near the bottom of Consumer Reports' reliability rankings for mid-sized trucks. Steering and suspension problems plagued the Gladiator from the start. Many owners reported persistent steering wander and even the infamous death wobble, violent front-end shaking at highway speeds. Despite Jeep issuing steering damper technical service bulletins, some issues persisted. Manual transmission models suffered from a serious defect in the clutch pressure plate that could lead it to overheat and explode. This prompted recalls after multiple fires were reported. Dealers had to install software that reduces engine torque if the clutch gets too hot, hardly ideal for an off-road truck. Premature clutch wear and failure well under 20,000 miles was common. Other issues included water leaks in the removable roof and electronic gremlins like random check engine lights and backup camera failures. While not a sales disaster like some others on our list, it sold about 77,000 units in 2021. The Gladiator remains a niche vehicle that general truck buyers approach with caution due to its spotty quality record and high price tag. We're down to our final 2 entries in the countdown. These are truly the worst of the worst when it comes to trucks nobody wants to buy. Number 2, Nissan Frontier, 2005 to 2008, 2022. Nissan's Frontier makes our list twice. The late first-generation models, 2005 to 2008, and, surprisingly, the newest 2022 redesign. The 2005 to 2008 Frontiers are infamous for their strawberry milkshake of death, a catastrophic coolant leak that would send coolant into the transmission, often destroying it completely. Nissan extended warranties, but many owners were still left with 3,000+ repair bills. Other common problems included timing chain tensioner failures, causing whining noises and leaking axle seals. The reputation was so bad that Years to Avoid guides routinely flagged these models. After a remarkably long production run without major changes, Nissan finally redesigned the Frontier for 2022, only to have it debut as the least reliable midsize truck, according to Consumer Reports, with a dismal score of 23 out of 100. The new Frontier has been plagued by glitchy infotainment electronics and rattling interior trim from day one. In 2022, over 180,000 Frontiers were recalled because they could roll away while in park due to a faulty transmission parking pile. Sales have struggled accordingly. By 2021 to 2022, annual sales fell below 25,000 units, a far cry from segment leaders. The combination of long-standing reliability concerns and new issues with the redesign has kept many buyers away from Nissan dealerships. Number 1. Nissan Titan, 2016 to 2019. Taking the crown for the worst truck that nobody buys is the second-generation Nissan Titan. When it launched in 2016, Nissan targeted 100,000 annual U.S. sales, but never even reached half that number. Sales plunged from 52,000 in 2017 to a mere 15,000 in 2022. Consumer Reports consistently rated the Titan's reliability worse than average. Owners reported frequent drivetrain and build quality issues that seemed to persist year after year without improvement. The 2016 Titan's new 7-speed transmission was plagued by hard shifting and sudden jerking, problems that Nissan never fully addressed through recalls. The optional Cummins diesel in the Titan XD suffered from fuel pump and turbocharger failures noted by numerous owners. Safety concerns emerged in 2022 when Nissan recalled 2020 to 2022 Titans for a defective parking pall that could allow the trucks to roll away, the same issue that affected the Frontier. For perspective on how badly the Titan failed in the market, for every single Titan sold in 2023, Ford sold approximately 47 F-Series trucks. This abysmal performance led Nissan to announce the Titan's discontinuation in 2023, marking the end of a truck that consumers overwhelmingly rejected. The combination of lagging reliability, an aging design, and stiff competition from American brands proved too much for the Titan to overcome. It stands as perhaps the most significant failure in the modern full-size truck market. There you have it, the 20 worst trucks that almost nobody wants to buy, according to Consumer Reports data and sales figures. From badge-engineered disasters to luxury trucks with identity crises, these vehicles serve as cautionary tales for both manufacturers and consumers. What's your experience with any of these trucks? Drop a comment below and let us know if you've owned one of these reliability nightmares or if you think another truck deserved to make our list. Don't forget to subscribe for more automotive content, and we'll see you in the next video.